Hello, everybody. I wish you well. To the question posed in the title of this video, the short answer is no. 100% no. They have 6 months max, and with that, I am being fairly generous. And while all of the butthurt, far right Texans are in the comments section calling me some kind of liberal cuck or some other right wing bullshit, I'm gonna explain to you guys why. So when you secede from the Union, from the United States, what you are effectively doing is declaring war on the United States. Fine. Do you, boo-boo. I don't like the United States either. I wanted to share a couple. I kind of wanted to go over how this is going to go. The first thing I want to state is I want us to look at a map or two, if you would be so inclined as to tolerate that. Okay? So here we have a picture of Texas. Right? Big Dallas up here, San Antonio down here, Houston over here, El Paso over here. All fine and dandy. I want you guys to look at this. New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, all part of the United States, which you are now at war with. And to the south, you have Mexico, who has strong relations with the United States, which you are no longer a part of. You will probably be able to have people bring in, the United States will probably put some levels of checkpoints, on the ways into Oklahoma, from Oklahoma, Arkansas, into Texas. And sure, you might be able to get some people to smuggle some, food necessities, but unless you have a country that is sympathetic to do a similar type of Berlin airlift type of thing, which, to be fair, the only countries that would be interested in doing this to help Texas would be Russia, which at the moment can barely keep itself together, and that wouldn't work out, and China, which, the type of government that would want to secede from the United States would be a far right wing government, and would also be highly xenophobic towards China. So that wouldn't be well received, and so those are your only two options in terms of getting resources into the state. And then you might be wondering, but what about the Gulf of Mexico? Oh yes, the Gulf of Mexico, which is only accessible in straits that are in surrounding countries that are aligned against you. So what would happen? Well, what would happen would be that there would be lame. What would happen is this. There would be a blockade. Nothing in, nothing out. If something tries to go in and they're warned and then they don't turn around, it gets blown to smithereens. That is what would happen if you tried to get things out of the Gulf of Mexico. Now, you might be saying, well, we'll fight back. We'll use all this, We'll use like our military stuff. I'm like, what military? You got the National Guard. That's cool. Poggers. Are you thinking that you have control of, all of these bases? Military bases all across Texas? See, you don't get these. These are federal. This is federal land, and it is federal property, and so you might think, oh, okay, then we'll just take it then. No, you're not. You think your militia buddies who go powwowing in the woods on the weekends are going to be able to take a military base? No. See, what these are at best case scenario, what these military bases will be for your, liberation of Texas movement are scorched earth that nobody's going to be able to utilize or live on for a very long time. That is the best case scenario, because the worst case scenario is they become spots of insurgency to where they can launch plane attacks, attacks on enemy bases. These basically become giant, very powerful city-states that can basically blow your shit up from before they even see you coming. You even see it coming. So, if the U.S. government is able to, fly in resources and airdrops to the different military bases, which of course they'd be able to do. Most of these are on the border of Texas, and it's not that hard for them to say, get this little bits of land here at Fort Bliss, Laughlin, not even an issue. Hell, Laughlin Air Force Base will be a inlet which the Mexican army will come in with aid from the United States to invade Houston here. So this is your worst case scenario, where all of these become jumping off points where they can fly in troops and attack anywhere and everywhere in the state, to where you are going to have to go to the most remote places, up here in the Horn maybe, here in between, here and there, but you're not going to be able to do much of anything, if anything. So the best case scenario for you is they are unable for some reason to stock and use these different bases. Get food in, personnel in, equipment in, which they'd of course be able to do. But if for some reason they can't, they would evacuate everybody, and then they would bomb the shit out of all of these bases to prevent you from having access to the equipment, resources, and facilities that were originally there. Your best case scenario in this case is that they bomb all of them to smithereens so you don't have access to them, because every other alternative scenario is you are getting fucked by the forces in these bases. You might say, oh, but there's good Texans and people who would support our cause. I'm like, maybe. I'm not saying that there aren't, some right-wing goons in the military who would support a Texas secession. But do you really think it's enough of them are placed in all of these bases? Let's say you get one. You get one. Let's say, even so, you get Fort Hood, one of the largest, and if we're looking at Texas, pretty close to Austin, Dallas, and Houston, a good central place here in Texas for you to, organize things. Let's say you get Fort Hood. You then are and let's even say you get Fort Hood and all the other ones are scorched earth. And let's say that for some reason, you got your air defenses up, if there even are air defenses there, and you can defend Fort Hood from being scorched earth too. The original thing I said, where you're blockaded, you have no, the U.S. Army's not going to invade. What they're going to do is they're going to starve you out. What they're going to do is they're going to relay things to the citizenry and say, we can provide food, we can provide shelter, we can provide lodging, and we can move you to safety. And what will happen is that all of the citizenry who aren't 100% completely on board with the shit leave. That's just what happens. And what would happen is that if you what is a government without its citizenry, right? And so let's say that, but let's say even so, you're able to keep 50, let's just say 80%. Let me give you the benefit of overwhelming doubt. Let's say you keep the 30 million people in Texas. Let's say you keep 24 million people. You still have to go up against the strongest military in the world by a factor of 10. There's a joke that's like sometimes said where what's the strongest navy in the world? The U.S. Navy. What's the second strongest navy in the world? The U.S. Army. What's the third strongest? The U.S. Air Force. What you have is you are surrounded on all sides by the United States, who is now your enemy, and its allies. You have, if you're lucky and you have Fort Hood and all, great. You are able to defend 50 miles effectively. The rest of the state falls like that. The United States will focus, like, it baffles me that the same people that call, that LARP and are ready for like the insurrection and all that stuff, they have not thought at all about what would actually happen if they did this. It's just feel-good LARPing, and it's all about their fifis, which is super in line with conservative ideology, because conservative ideology is either projection or it's cope. And that's all it ever is. I hope that Texas doesn't secede from the Union. There's a lot of good Americans down there that don't deserve to be killed, displaced, and dismembered because of right-wing lunatics penchant for idolatry of despots. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for watching. To any Texans who agree with me and agree that this is stupid, please let me know down in the comments. And since all the butthurt Texans have either made their comment and left or have no means gotten to the end of this video, if you have, I commend you. And I think that there is, on some level, you have some level of reason, or you don't buy into this as it being a good idea, and for that I commend you. This is just, I'm not a statistician, I'm not a tactics guy, I don't have any military background. Everything that I've sourced here is common sense. It's common sense. Like, this is not something, the things I've said in this video are not things you need a military professional to look at and understand why. In fact, if you got someone who has, like, my grandfather's nephew on another side of the family who's a really high-ranking Air Force guy, he'd probably say, yeah, it's stupid. It would never succeed. But I feel like looking at all of these things from a common sense standpoint should, at the very least, dissuade a handful of people, or at least, I hope, make them think twice. Regardless, thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you, and I lead you off with the illustrious beats of the great Villainous Styles.